Joining us now to talk about the debate's impact on the race is SU Political Science Professor Grant Rear. Professor Rear, so good to have you here. We're eager to hear your take on the debate last night.
Well, I don't think I have anything of great insight to add to what anybody saw. It was pretty dramatic and not in a good way.
Right. Let's talk about President Biden's performance. It seemed to be the talk of the day, obviously, and perhaps legitimizing concerns of his age. It was an early debate. There's still time. So how does the campaign counter that?
Well, first of all, I think Biden's worst moments, unfortunately, were at the beginning. And I think the first half hour was the worst for him. I do think he got better as the evening wore on, although he still had problems of sounding confused and being confusing. Where you go from here is it's going to put a lot of pressure on the campaign to put him out in public and demonstrate that last night was the aberration and not the norm. And so the campaign had been shielding him a little bit before, but they can't do that anymore because there's just going to be all the scrutiny that we've already seen is just going to be intensified by a factor of 2 or 3. And so the campaign will have to put him out a lot. He'll have to demonstrate that he's got stamina, that he can be out on the campaign trail for a long time and make sense and interact with people and give speeches. And they're certainly going to need another debate to try to fix that. So I would expect to see at least one more debate and maybe even a third one. I don't know. But they're in a tough spot right now. The Democrats are in a tough spot. Not a good night for them by any stretch.
And there is some talk, clearly Republicans are going to be sticking with Trump, but Democrats worry about President Biden. Is there a process to change out the nominee at this point?
Well, there's a process, but I don't think it's going to happen. So what would have to happen is, first of all, President Biden would have to say, I will not accept the nomination. And then it would be a brokered convention at this point. The only way I could see it possibly working, and I don't think this is going to happen again, would be if the Democrats could reach very quick consensus around whoever it is that would be taking his place. And I see a couple problems with that. One is the obvious first person in line is Vice President Harris. The problem is that her numbers are not good at all. And then the problem for the party is if they take somebody else, you have a political party that is based on diversity and inclusion, and you'd be skipping over a woman of color to go to somebody else. And so I don't see any clean, easy way for the party to deal with this without a lot of blood on the floor, without a lot of division, without a lot of chaos. And you don't want that going into the final lap of an election campaign. So I think for better or worse, I think the Democrats are essentially stuck at this point. I think that window has closed, frankly. But I know there is a lot of discussion today about Democratic leadership trying to get behind some other candidate. I just don't see it happening.
Okay. What did you think of former President Trump's performance? And do you think either candidate's performance will detract from the support that they already had?
Well, very quickly on former President Trump. I think his first 30 minutes were probably his best. He sounded more presidential than he normally does. But as the evening wore on, maybe he got irritated with some of Joe Biden's comments. He kind of reverted to type. And then by the end of the evening, we were full on in alternative realities, over the top hyperbole, things that weren't true. Everything about his presidency was the best that's ever happened. Everything about Joe Biden's presidency was the worst in history. And so he, you got more of the same. I think what that means for the public is this. The people whose views about either one of these candidates are already in cement had plenty to point to say that the other guy is worse and here are all the problems and this is why we're supporting our person. The people who didn't want to see either candidate run are feeling worse today than they felt yesterday. And the very small number who are truly undecided, I don't think got much to help them last night. I think they're left kind of with their hands up in the air. So unfortunately, I don't think the debate accomplished much for the public.
All right. I can't believe we're out of time already. We could go another 5 minutes. SU Political Science Professor Grant Rear, thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate your time tonight.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me on the program.